I'm Sue Housewarde and I work at Norfolk Adult Education Services, and I'm a tutor assessor and I do teaching as well. I've been tutor assessing for a while now, and I think in the past there hasn't been enough employer engagement. I think there needs to be a lot more effort made in the beginning stages particularly to make sure that the employer understands how the apprenticeship works, how they will be involved on an ongoing basis with the apprentice, and also how they can have input and not just be an observer but have an input into the apprenticeship and how it can link in with the workplace.
My first apprentice was Jess, and she did an apprenticeship about 4.5 years ago, and then 9 months ago Chris joined me as an apprentice. I haven't felt that involved with his qualification as he's gone through it actually. I've had a few meetings with his assessor when he's been here, but I haven't really been as engaged with it as I would perhaps would like to have been. Partly because I haven't taken the trouble perhaps to find out. I've been pretty busy, but also because there's been no kind of structure. There's been no contact that says this is what's going next, what do you think about that? Do you want to be part of this? Can you help with that? This is what you could do to help Chris get more out of the course. So at the moment that Chris is developing as my apprentice and helping with that work and doing really well, and I'm providing him with lots of support on that. And then there's his qualification he's doing, which seems to be happening in glorious isolation of everything else that goes on in his life and mine.
The journey that I've been on with my assessor and my employer so far hasn't been particularly fantastic. There's not been a lot of communication between the assessor and my employer for projects that are evolved around the actual core apprenticeship learning. So my advice for assessors would be actually to make sure that they are kind of weekly talking to the employers, asking what's going on, how can the apprentice help them, how can the apprentice give them a return on their investment, and make sure as well that they're actually achieving the grades at college, but also at the same time helping the business.
I think the assessor could engage with even the busiest employer by actually communicating with them a bit more effectively. I think some of that is just about email, just telling them what's going on. I think just a regular email update as to where we're at, what's happening.
A way that support staff could help ensure that the apprentices are helping the businesses move forward and progress is by linking in the standards required in if it was a certificate or diploma that the students are doing as part of the apprenticeship, linking in what's required in those standards with what is actually happening in the workplace. What is the student working on when they're at work, and can that be linked somehow to what is being described in the standards?
I'd like to have an assessor that I can always get hold of, but who gives me kind of control. Or like I can say, this week I'm going to write an essay on this topic or that topic, but always have them there to help, to know that I'm doing something right.
Assessors and training providers need to understand the context within which we're working. For example, we have 2 apprentices working in the Victory Intervention programme, and it's essential that they come and see them in action and look at the current team and see what the demands are in that particular role, and why it's essential they spend as much time here as possible, and that they have some comprehension of the hours that we need them to be here and why we would need them to be here, the emotional demands of the position as well, because they build very strong relationships with the students. So it's quite a challenging position, but it's something that means whoever ends up in that position as an apprentice has a very good chance of gaining permanent employment either at this academy or in another school.
I think the key point for the assessor who wants to succeed is to recognise that the employer has a vital role to play in the whole piece. So the employer is the person who pays the young person and essentially is paying for the qualification. In fact, in the future will be paying for the qualification. So the employer has to feel like they know what's going on. So the regular emails that say this is what's happening, even if it's an email to all the employers in a group that are blind copied in, so it's easy to do. It's just nice to know that next week your apprentice is going to come and learn about this in the talk session. It gives you the chance to think about how you might give them an opportunity to experience some of that stuff in the workplace.
The advice I would give with assessors when starting out planning the qualification, really in terms of speaking not only with the apprentice but getting the employer involved and making sure that they understand what the qualification entails and what they're going to get out of it, really, because the whole point of having an apprentice coming into your workplace is hopefully you're going to get something out of it at the end of it.